Hey guys, it's ExandShadow, and welcome to the grand finale of Let's Play Trauma Center New Blood. In this part, we're finally gonna find Cynthia, deal with Ray Karinsky, and finally untangle this mass of a plot that we've got here. Now, don't get me wrong. As stupid as the plot can get, and as much as I've gotten frustrated and mad and insane over the course of this playthrough at the glaring gaps in logic that these characters go through pretty much every 30 seconds, I still like this game's plot. I do, I really do, for a couple of reasons. One, it's not as stupid as it could be, and I know that's not saying a whole lot, but this plot had a potential to become a lot less stupid, and, I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. It did have the potential to be less stupid, but it could have been a lot more stupid, and that would have been if they overplayed the melodrama like they did in Under the Knife and Second Opinion. Now, it's plenty melodramatic here as well, but it seems like a sort of self-aware melodrama a lot of the time, especially considering some of the incredibly silly stuff that we do a lot of the time, like the TV station stuff and all of that. So this plot, it's overly dramatic, but I think it knows it's trying to be overly dramatic, and it has fun with itself. So that's why I like this game's plot, as dumb as it can be. So yeah. Anyway, Cynthia was Ray Karinsky's girlfriend the entire time. If you remember way back, when we were first talking to her, they said, Cynthia brought up how her boyfriend went back home and how they weren't really on good terms anymore. You'll also remember that they both went to a Catholic school, and as she brings up here, Karinsky's kind of not so Christian. Obsessed with the story of Noah's Ark. Huh. That's sort of an odd fable. Well, I shouldn't say fable, because that'll get like 20,000 people mad at me, but that's sort of an odd biblical story to be focused on, right? I'm just confused about that. I mean, I'm sure that there's some sort of symbolism here that Atlas is trying to do, but then again, you can always trust Atlas to say something interesting about Western religion. Problem is, I can never understand whatever the fuck they're trying to say, especially when it comes to Shin Megami Tensei, but it leaks in here as well. There's some other Christian overtones in Under the Knife and Second Opinion, but not nearly as much. It's more Greek-based over there, and Trauma Team is mostly secular overall, but, you know, I don't mind the religious overtones and the religious, symbolism here, because it's not really offensive yet, but it's just, it's just sort of confusing, because, I'm not gonna lie, it's just sort of thrown in here, out of nowhere, for no real good reason, other than to have religious symbolism, because that makes you deep and stuff. I don't know. I'm not really sure what the general Japanese consensus on Christianity is, because I know it's a lot more, they're a lot more critical of it over than here in the West, so they're generally more able to make these sort of statements, but then again, due to censorship and translation and stuff, a lot of whatever sort of meaning that they might have had over there, it gets lost when you bring them over here, so oh well. Anyway, Cynthia here has a little thingy in her that'll kill her whenever Ray wants to. So, what we gotta do is we've gotta remove it. Yay! This operation is a little bit more stressful than the other operations we did, but it's really, again, not that hard. It's actually a good bookending operation, because as they said earlier, Cynthia has a pump in her very similar to Elena's pump, and so we are doing an operation very similar to the operation we had on Elena at the very beginning of the game. And I love bookends like this, because not only does it bring us back from where we started, but it also... Oh, restart. Yeah, again, if I mess up at the very beginning, I'm not gonna hesitate to restart. But, I like bookends because not only do they just make everything come full circle, but they also remind you of how far you've come since the beginning. You know, we're not just operating on nameless nobodies in the middle of Alaska, biding our time until something important happens. We're doing something actually important. So I like that sort of book ending stuff. If you remember from Kirby 64, I brought it up there as well. Anyway, this operation is very similar to the one we had with Elena at the beginning of the game. You take out the chips in the exact same way. The thing is that Cynthia here is a lot more finicky than Elena was, and Elena was pretty damn finicky, so, yeah. She'll go into cardiac arrest a lot more often. She'll get a lot more blood pools forming, and there's another aspect to this operation as well, so it's a little bit more complicated. It's not that much more. But this operation is just, it's a little bit more stressful than the others because you're pretty much at low vitals all the time. I mean, there's no real point in raising them back up to a high level because you're going to be cardiac arrested anyway, so you know why bother since you're always brought back down to like 30 health after each time you have to do this massage thing. There's no point in keeping your vitals higher than like 40 or 50. And that's sort of where this, the main stress level of this operation pops in. Especially since, you know, you have to stop whatever you're doing every 20 fucking seconds for the stupid heart... That really bugs me, if you haven't figured it out already. It's not challenging to have the heart go fibrillating every 30 seconds, and then make us stop whatever we're doing. It's just obnoxious, and it wastes our time. It's not really all that challenging, and the beeping of the vitals bar is really annoying. And at this point in the game, I'm just tired of having to deal with heart fibrillations. We've done it a million times before, and it's not that interesting anymore. It's just frustrating. Anyway, you take care of this little control chip differently than the others. What you need to do is you need to use the laser on it and cut it out like normal, but it'll turn itself on after a little while. So you need to constantly be using the laser on it as it turns itself back on in order to keep it off so that you can cut it out. And if you wait too long, it'll turn itself back on before you can make any real progress. Problem is, you have to wait whenever the heart fibrillates, so it'll just turn itself back on anyway, which leads to frustrations ahoy. Thankfully, it should be relatively quick to deal with, so it's not that big of a deal. You've also got your healing touch to cheese your way past this section, so it's not that much of a problem. After you take out the control chip, you have to put the pump back in, because she actually does have a heart problem. The problem is that, well, I guess it's not really a problem, but you have to pay attention to the way that to the angle of the pump when you're putting it into the heart. Kind of like the bone pieces whenever you're reforming a rib or something. Like here, I just put it in and it didn't pop in, so you gotta twist the Wiimote in order to make sure that it's in the right way. Then you just gotta put all 4 control chips on, and then you're pretty much done. I'm just rushing at this point because I'm tired of dealing with this fucking thing. But it's generally not that big of a deal once you get the control chip out. This operation overall isn't too bad, it's just annoying overall, and because it's annoying it also manages to feel quite it was right on there! Come on, Trauma Center, really? Really?
Right, let's close the atrium.
But yeah, this operation, just annoying, not really too hard. I mean, I'm fine with its placement in Chapter 7 because, you know, it's a book-ending thing, and it actually is semi-difficult. I mean, you'll never die, but you'll be hovering in the red quite a lot, so there's risk of death at almost every opportunity, so that's sort of where the stress of this operation comes from mostly. After that, yeah, that's pretty much it. Also, yeah, there's a nice little story bit about how what we use for good could be used for evil and yada yada yada. It's never really brought up how evil things could be used for good, but whatever. So anyway, I probably did terrible on this mission, as usual. Let's see. Yep. Should have expected that, I guess.
We did it. I'm so glad we could save her.
You know
what? I'm not really, because she didn't really get an awful lot of character development. She was just sort of Valerie's buddy for about 20 minutes and then left, and then she gets brought back here for no good reason. The first time I played the game, I completely forgot about Cynthia entirely. I was like, wait, who's Cynthia? Oh, the blonde lady. Oh, that's who she is. So anyway, this is the final mission. Yep, this is the final mission in the entire game, so that is pretty damn sweet, I gotta say. And so, well, it's dark, so I guess we gotta turn on the... Oh, hi, Noah's Ark. You were symbolic, I guess.
This is Vahushti's room? It's very quiet.
Too quiet. Oh, shouting for him, that'll work. Yeah. Oh, hi, Jesus. Wait, what? Wait, Jesus? Wait, Jesus? Like, the Jesus, you know, died, came back 3 days later, walked on water, turned water to wine, multiplies fish and bread, generally considered a stand-up dude even by people who aren't Christian. You know, the Jesus? He's the bad guy? Really, Atlas? You made the bad guy look exactly like Jesus? Really? You know, I thought that making the bad guy Hitler in Persona 2 was bad, but it's Jesus! It's fucking Jesus! Let me explain why this bugs me so much. First off, it's incredibly tacky to have Jesus be your final boss. You know, I don't really care what religion you are, but it's kind of hard to find anything really that bad to say about Jesus. You know, he's Jesus. He's fucking Jesus. And, you're making him the final boss. Why? What statement are you trying to make here, Atlas? What statement are you trying to make? That Jesus was evil? 'Cause he kinda isn't. I mean, if you look at the source material, it's very, very hard to make Jesus seem evil. Like, the worst thing I can think of off the top of my head that he did was that he beat up a tree one time because it didn't give him fruit. Okay, that was kind of a dick move, but that wasn't really evil. I guess they could try to say that Jesus is insane, which, I mean, if you look at it from some perspectives, I mean, I guess you could make that point, but he's clearly evil, and he's... or maybe that he's overly preachy, because he's overly preachy here, I guess, but he's not fucking evil. He doesn't kill people. He's fucking Jesus. I don't know what to say about this. It's... and then there's also the fact that they're combining Jesus with Noah's Ark, which makes no fucking sense, because nothing that Jesus ever did had any relation to Noah, like at all. And, I don't even know. They sort of try to say that Ray here is just completely fucking nuts, which I get that. I mean, I understand that, and maybe they're trying to say that Christians in general are fucking nuts, and, after looking at some of the branch Christianity groups, I can't really argue with that, but I don't know what they were trying to do here. I mean, granted, this is probably the weakest aspect of the game for me, is just the final boss. I mean, it's, well, not the final boss, but more the bad guy. He's fucking Jesus. I mean, really. Granted, I think that the bad guys in Under the Knife 2 were very lame, and the bad guy in Under the Knife 1/Second Opinion doesn't even really have a voice. He's just sort of a dead guy sitting in a tube with all sorts of guilt in him. So, that's something. And Trauma Team actually doesn't really have a bad guy, which I think was actually a good move, because whenever they try to make a bad guy, he ends up being very weird. Anyway, Jesus here has cardia, so we gotta take care of him. Don't know why we're bothering to save Jesus, because he could come back 3 days later if we really wanted to. If he died, it doesn't really matter, because he'll come back 3 days later anyway, but, whatever. We need a final boss fight, and, I actually think that, having, Cynthia be the final person to save would have been a little bit more, effective, because, again, Cynthia's a character that we give a shit about, and she's not fucking Jesus, so I think that would have been a little bit better when it comes to making us attached for the final boss, and I mean, we had to save her anyway, so that would have been something, but, Anyway, it doesn't matter who you pick here, really, it doesn't matter who you pick here, your healing touch, the one that you have, it doesn't really matter, Though I guess if you care about your score at all, you're better off picking Marcus, but I'll explain that in a little bit. Anyway, the most important thing you need to remember when you're operating on Cardia is do not use the healing touch. Do not use the healing touch throughout the most of this operation, because if you do that, you will be screwed at the very end. That would be bad. Anyway, a Cardia is that little glowy bug-looking thing there. What we want to do is take off all of these spiderweb-looking squares from the... We want to remove all of them. How you do that is you put the gel onto it, and then you gotta cut them off with the scalpel. If Cardia runs into... Cardia will randomly walk around here, and if he runs into one of those red squares, your vitals will go down. But not only that, your max vitals will also go down. Like, right now our max vitals are 99. If Cardia were to hit a red square, our max vital would go down to like 80 something or something like that. But, so you want to make sure that Cardia does not run into any red squares. Take care of those first, and as quickly as possible. That is the #1 absolute priority that you want to deal with, because Cardia having lowered vitals in any way makes this boss fight really, really hard, and it's just generally hard to begin with, so you don't want to have to deal with that. Otherwise, you can't take off any squares that Cardia is standing on. And all of the squares that you cut off are taken off in groups. Like if you cut out 2 squares at once, you have to pick up both squares. You can't pick up things one at a time. For instance, like that square that we had there made up of 4, I couldn't take off 1 or 2 or 3 if I wanted to. I had to take off all 4 due to the way that I cut it. So you gotta be careful about how you're cutting these squares as well. It's basically just a timing puzzle. And once you get the timing down, it's really not that bad. I would not recommend taking off chunks that are too big, because like there, I can't take them off. I can't take it off at all because Cardia got onto just the edge of it. And after a while, they will go back to normal, so you also have to be quick too, so keep that in mind throughout this entire thing, I guess is what I'm just trying to say. This section of the boss fight just really isn't that much of a pain in the ass, to be honest. It's definitely a breather section of this boss fight, because there is a second phase. I don't think that's really a spoiler. But however, you just gotta make sure that Cardia does not ram into a red square. That is deadly. Having him go down, having your max vitals be down, even like just 1 stage, could mean the difference between life or death in this section. But now that we've done that, we actually have Cardia Phase 2, which has a fucking kick-ass final boss track, and it's just awesome. The main thing that Cardia will do is release those tumors and then release that shockwave. If any of those tumors are on the skin when the shockwave hits them, you will take a massive blow to vitals, which is very, very, very devastating. So once Cardia releases those tumors, take care of those immediately, and I mean immediately. Focus on the tumors closest to where the Cardia ends up staying, because the shockwave moves at a slow enough pace that you should be able to manage it even when it starts moving. But it's just, you really need to make sure that Cardia's shockwaves do not hit the tumors, because that can deal tons of damage, especially if it hits more than 1. Once you deal with all of the tumors, take the time to use the laser on Cardia. When it's wandering around like this, I would use that time to raise up vitals and deal with wounds that are left over, like cut wounds or something like that. This boss is deceptively difficult, because if you're looking at it like this, it doesn't look too bad, but Cardia can do lots and lots of damage. It's hard to keep your vitals up. You've got wounds all over the place that you need to deal, 3 different things that you need to keep your eyes on all at once. It's just, it's frantic, and you need to make sure that you're pretty much perfect throughout this entire thing, because if you, let's say, leave a whole bunch of cuts out, that'll make your vitals go down quicker. Or if you're spending too much time dealing with cuts while the tumors are out, you'll take a huge hit to vitals. And if you're trying to spend too much time to vitals, oh look, 12 cuts came out and you gotta deal with those. This boss fight is just generally frantic in general. But however, once you deal enough damage to Cardia, a whole bunch of things will pop up. Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck!
You got the touch!
As soon as all of those tumors appear right there, all of those, that big huge thing of tumors, use your healing touch immediately. If you do not use your healing touch, you will most likely die. Actually, not most likely. You will definitely die. Your healing touch, if you are Marcus, will stop time long enough for you to take care of all of those tumors, and if you are Valerie, it will keep you from getting hurt in the first place. But once you take care of all those tumors, zap Cardia to death, and that will be it. It's an incredibly satisfying ending to take care of all of those tumors one by one when you're Marcus, or just see them all explode and nothing happen with Valerie, and then zap that fucker into oblivion. Cardia 2 is a frantic boss fight, but that's what makes it so satisfying to actually operate on and kill. It's a fun operation and a very, very great high point to end the game off of. If there's one thing that can really enhance your opinion of an experience like this, it's an awesome final boss fight, and Trauma Center New Blood definitely delivers on that note. And after operating on the stigma, Jesus goes back to normal. And by back to normal, I mean he becomes uninsane. I don't know how that really works, but whatever. I guess Jesus here was corrupted by the stigma, or maybe science is messing with the values of Christianity, or I don't know. Actually, what I brought up earlier about using something evil for something good, that's what they're trying to do here is, I guess a theme of the game right about now would be like trying to use something good for evil or something evil for good. I guess what they're just trying to say that there's a flip side to everything, and everything could be used for any purpose depending on your viewpoint, or on your motives, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And Vahusti here dies after we cure him from stigma. So then what's the point of curing him then? He's just gonna die anyway, so what was the point of going through that awesome boss fight if he's not gonna live afterwards? Or, you know, repent for the crime that he did, because he did not repent. He did not. He just sort of was crazy, and then he saw how crazy he was before he died. That's not repenting. That's just realizing how much of a monster you are. Repenting would be like going to jail or making something to make up for all of that. Sort of like how Angie's dad did in Under the Knife, and Under the Knife 2, and Second Opinion, and all that shit. That's not... Just realizing that you did something terrible isn't repenting, you know? Even just saying sorry isn't repenting. You gotta do something in order to repent, dude. Jesus, you know, you'll come back 3 days later, so do something good with your life then. I recommend traveling with about 12 dudes and a prostitute, saying cool stuff. You know, that seems like it would fit you very well there, Jesus. Anyway, we do have an epilogue, so we can see where they are now.
How can you decline? It's an invitation from the president himself.
And President in particular, the most famous president who won in a very close race against the other contendant. Yeah, you can't just name the president in something like this, but eh. And of course, we've got the reappearance of incredibly bored-sounding lady, because her character needed closure, I guess. Eh. We also get closure for everyone else as well, like we've got Cromwell here, and they say something about Cynthia trying to make up for what she did, even though she really didn't do anything. Really, she was kind of just sort of blackmailed into it, so I don't really blame her for doing what she did, or I don't even know. I never really paid attention to what happened with Cynthia anyway, because she's not really the most interesting character at all. So, yeah, we also get some dialogue with the unimportant side characters. Oh, these unimportant side characters. You did absolutely fucking nothing important.
Why don't we call it a day and get some dinner?
Fan service? I'm pretty sure they mentioned that Everett was married, though, so... Huh. I assume they're going out as just friends, but whatever. Oh, and Leslie, too. Not really sure why she's here. And, oh, what the fuck, director? We saved the fucking world! Give us a vacation, please. I'd go anywhere. What about a vacation to South...
I'm going to see Professor Wilkins.
Why don't we go to Alaska?
Is it
Rush!
about his memory?
Fuck, our lives suck, don't they?
No, not at all.
Oh well.
Then I'll inform the director. You weren't planning on leaving me behind, were you?
Actually, yes, Elena, we kinda were. I'm sorry, but we can only hear the vitals so many times before we start to get annoyed of you. You know what I mean? Not too many hard
Looking
feelings.
at a city like this, it
And
always
we
seems
end
like
the game with Marcus and Elena and Valerie looking at the city at night, contemplating over the entire ordeal that they were in, saying that they wouldn't, if they had the option to, they wouldn't live their lives any differently.
Stigma is gone.
I'm pretty sure Marcus would choose to live his life differently, because if he didn't discover stigma in the first place, Krinsky wouldn't go nuts and everybody wouldn't die from stigma. Yeah, so actually, Marcus, I would do it all over again if I were you. If it were up to me, I would rewrite history, but
I'll be counting on you.
eh. Oh well, I guess they're just trying to be introspectful and shit, but eh. Anyway, that was Trauma Center New Blood. Now, again, I've been bitching and moaning and whining and complaining this entire playthrough, but this is actually a really, really, really fun game to play through. It's not without its flaws. You know, the story has its problems. I guess I'll just leave it at that. And the gameplay is not completely refined, I will admit. There is some issue that I have. A lot of the operations go on for too long. Some of the stigma are a little bit tedious to go through. Some of the missions are damn frustrating, like the burn grass missions that have heart fibrillation, stuff like that. But what I see in this game is, a game that does something very different from any other game that I've ever seen. You know, just the premise, you are a doctor, is different than nearly any other video game you've ever played in your entire life. And this game also does a heck of a good job of refining the problems that Second Opinion had. You know, widescreen support. You wouldn't know how much of a deal that makes, but it makes the game look so much better. Voice acting. You know, the voice acting overall, except for the really minor characters, is relatively good. It's kind of cheesy and narmy at points, but you know, it's just generally good voice acting overall. And it's a much longer experience, I find, than Second Opinion. It's a lot less repetitive than Second Opinion. It's just a general improvement over the formula that was put in the first place. And you know what? When it comes to a sequel to a game, that's about as much as you can ask for. You know, it's a bigger game with more to do, more variety, and there's also a lot more content in this game because of, you know, the co-op. It's incredibly fun to play with friends, even though I've only been able to do it a couple of times. And, you know, there's online leaderboards, so, you know, you can, there's incentive to do better in that sense. It's just an incredibly fun game to play and a generally good overall experience. Anyway, we're not actually done yet, though. There is another challenge mission in the X missions to do. And I'd feel pretty guilty if I left that out, but I'm not going to do that right now. So tune in next time when I get to that. But, you know what, overall, I'd give this game a shot if you haven't tried it before. But anyway, that's about it. I'm ExandShadow, and I'll see you guys later.